I did initially plan to do this with another book series, but you better believe we are not reading those books anymore. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am going to take you through how I learned German while reading books. So I don't really know if this is something that I have touched on in this channel before, but I live in Germany at the moment, despite being an Irish person. I live in Germany and I have worked in Germany for the last 3 years. I did do German for my leaving cert, which is our end of school exams when you're in secondary school, and I got on pretty okay with it, and then came to Germany in 2017 and it was like I was back at square one. So I take kind of any opportunity that I can to improve on my German, which makes daily life a little bit easier for me here. One of the easiest things that I find to do with this is immersion learning. Luckily, while I live in Germany, I have so many opportunities to do that. But there is another thing that I find that really helps, and that is reading. I am, of course, a big reader. I wouldn't have this book channel if I did. One thing that I find that works really well for me is reading a book that I already know really well, but in my target language. And you can do this for literally any language across the world. I'm just doing it for German because that is the one that I am actively learning right now, but you can substitute any language in the world that you want to learn. There are some books out there that are kind of double-sided. So you have your language on the left and you have the target language that you want to learn on the right, which makes it a lot easier for you to translate because you don't have to get dictionaries or anything like that. You literally just have to look at the page beside you, and then you can see how the sentence is supposed to look. You can kind of figure out what this word means. Sometimes you can get that even just from context, but sometimes it is really easy to have the exact translation right there in front of you. I, however, do it slightly differently in that I just have the copy of the book in German. So I have read, oh, this one has a bookmark in it. I didn't know that. I have read the two All the Boys I've Loved Before series twice. I think I've read them physically once, and I have read them on audiobook once just before the series came out on Netflix. So I picked up a copy of the first book in German about a year ago, around the time that the Netflix series was first coming out. I picked up the first book in German, and then throughout the year, I picked up the other two, which are right here. Something that you might not have known about German books is that their spines are really weird in that it's upside down, and that really annoys me. I need somebody who is German and who watches my channel to explain why they do that. How does this actually help me learn German? Book itself is in German. This is just a random chapter that I just opened on. Book itself is in German. How is that going to help me learn? I'm kind of sitting at like a B1, B2 level of the language, which means that I could technically apply for citizenship if I were to need it. I can get a job working for the government, which I luckily have. And I can kind of get by pretty well in everyday life in Germany, but there are some things that I still need to get a little bit of help with. This helps in that it's a story that I already know. I don't have to worry too much about getting into the story. I don't have to worry too much about getting what the information is. I just need to focus on the language use. I just need to focus on what are the cases that I should be using properly. I just need to focus on what verb goes in which area of the sentence, because Germans love that. So when I am reading, this is actually a really good intro into how I do this. When I am reading, I like to keep one of these with me. A sticky note. When I come across a word that I don't particularly know, or a sentence that I've never seen before, or a word that I'm not completely familiar with, write it down, come back to it at the end of the chapter, and leave a little space and write the word in beside it. That way, you have the exact words that you need on the page that you need them, and you can go back to it so easily. I don't like to go to dictionaries right in the middle of the story because I feel like it kind of takes away from what I'm doing, and it does give you a little bit of a time at the end to go, actually maybe I do know that word, or maybe from the context I can kind of figure out what that means. The Lara Jean series is not the only books that I am using to learn German and to improve my German. I'm also using the Oh My God, What a Complete Aisling series. This one is going to be really interesting for me because I am Irish. I have read all 3 of the Aisling books. I understand the humour. I get what they're coming out with all of these things. And I know that for the UK version of the books, some things were kind of changed around. Some things were like I listened to a podcast with Sarah and Emer, and they were talking about, somebody asked them what was meanies, which are just crisps that you can get in Ireland. They're pickled onion flavoured, they're delicious, and I miss them so much. But I am really interested to see how Aisling translates, not just linguistically, but how does the culture of the Aisling books translate for an audience where English is not their first language and they don't really have a lot of experience with Irish culture. That is something that I am really interested to see, and perhaps I'm going to check in with you and see how that goes. So these are some books that I use to help improve my German, and that's just a little tip that has worked for me somewhat in the past. If you have any language learning tips that you use books with, please don't hesitate to write them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now get on out of here.